never there for me. When I was struggling, you was never there, homie. My friends in the past never really cared for me. I felt so cold, all alone, doing things on my own. And this was every day, worked all night, so mom wouldn't pay. Crazy bills on the mind made a tough day feel even worse. I had nobody to make the feelings reverse. This life I'm living is Circe, and I was the first son in college, working part-time to get my car fixed. It put dents in my pockets. Know what I'm trying to say is, I depended on dudes for mad shit, but they didn't come through for half of it. So the fact is, we all actors in this movie of life.
Being on the other side of casting is so interesting.
On the other side of the table.
Yeah.
Because then you can see how people just like fuck it up.
Yeah.
Like how they just really get in their own way.
Yeah, I watched it all day yesterday for like 8 hours. Granted, like most people I think were like, they were younger boys, like 20, 18. Yeah. So, I don't know, I had a little bit more like, oh, you guys are babies. So,
right.
But still, I was like, what are you?
Okay, so welcome to another episode of The Struggling Artist. I'm here with my friend Dia Frampton.
Hello.
Dia performed last night at the Grammy Museum, right?
Yep.
You recently were on Criminal Minds, and you're releasing your album today?
Yes, Bruises is out today. It's crazy. It seems like, I mean, like some of the songs are 5 years old on it, and it's been being released. It's just this crazy thing.
I can't believe you're here in my bedroom on the day you're releasing your album. I feel like you should be like there's like so many other really cool things you could be doing in LA. So I got you something to just congratulate you.
What?
Just it's from all of us here
gosh.
At The Struggling Artists.
From The Struggling Artists. I'm keeping this forever, from The Struggling Artists. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I just want, I mean, it's so huge, you know?
It's beautiful.
Well, I'm glad you like them. But
thank you. I know lots of girls are like, I don't love flowers, but I love flowers.
I know, because you're kind of like morbid.
I am a little. I didn't realize I was until somebody else said that yesterday, again after the show. He said, you're really morbid.
Well, the songs that you showed last night at the museum, where you showcased at the museum at Spotlight, there were 4 songs. Mm-hmm. And like one of them was basically called
Die Wild.
Die Wild, which is amazing. Like, what's the deal with that?
Die Wild is just about, I mean, somebody gave me a card the other day that said, do what you love, and it's really about that. That's the positive title for Die Wild.
Right.
Is do what you love. I think it was like a Hallmark card or something, but it was cute. But, it's, about dying doing something that you really enjoy, because I always thought about the other side of the spectrum. What if I just moved back to Utah and I was successful as far as money goes, or, you know, I have a house now, but would I really be happy? And what if I died that day, that I was coming home from the office and I was so upset, or, you know, not doing what I felt like I was called to do, and how terrible that would feel.
Right.
So Die Wild is just about dying doing something that you love.
You go back to Utah, you would have that house. Here, you don't have those things. Are people under the impression that you have those things here? Like, they think that you live in this, like, extravagant...
I think so sometimes, which is weird. I definitely don't. And I went and spoke at this panel the other day for struggling artists, and you know, they said, that's so great that you make a living with music. How do you do that? And I wanted to be realistic for them. So, well, you know, I also work at a health and nutrition store, and I also work for an ice cream company. So I have 2 jobs on the side of also trying to go in for auditions and then trying to write music for artists. So at first I was kind of embarrassed to say that, because they just had sparkles in their eyes, and
because they see you and they think, oh, she's a star.
I just said, I wanted to say, like, work hard and you'll just get there. But I said, you know, I'm not there. I've worked 2 normal jobs. You can come see me 9 to 5 at this place, and I'll get you some vitamins or something.
Seriously.
So, so you know, there is that. I try to be more realistic with people, especially since I talk to a lot of students lately, and I feel like you should you should just be ready to work really hard.
Right. How'd you get started?
I got started, I've always loved music, and then when I was a young kid, I was really inspired by Leanne Rimes because she was close to my age and performing and singing. And so I started singing and started karaokeing around town. I would play at nursing homes and at ice skating rinks, and we had like a kite festival in March in Utah. Like all these really random things. Literally lots of the times the stage was the back of a truck or something. But it was really fun. And then as I got older, around 15, my sister Meg was actually the one who started writing her own music and started playing guitar, and she was a wonderful piano player. So she's the one who actually inspired me to move forward in that direction of creating my own content instead of just singing other people's songs. And I'd say after that, I was kind of always following behind Meg because she was really a trailblazer.
Right, she was going after it, and
Yeah.
you were just kind of watching her do these things. And like, I read your Medium article, which was like awesome, which is basically what this show is about. Like, I want to educate people on artists they might not ever heard of that I believe in. And when I read your article, it was part of the inspiration, but we were already in the process of making the show. And I have an older brother who, when I was younger, was recording me as a kid.
Really?
Making me do commercials. And I kind of like fell into this, and I just think it's really, it's amazing that you have it's like you have the same relationship with your sister.
Yeah.
And we created this show together. Like this show is my brother's idea.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's guiding it kind of from Florida. But can you talk about your relationship with your sister?
Yeah, my sister and I were really close for years. We would, when we would rent an apartment with a bunch of roommates, we would share a room just to share costs mostly. But we'd have our little mattresses on the floor, just right next to each other, and we toured for forever. So we were really, really close for a long time. Then The Voice happened, and that was where it kind of got strained because I was all of a sudden pushed into this solo realm and away from my sister and away from my band. And then after The Voice, trying to go back to that relationship was so weird and clunky. And nothing really crazy happened. It was just a slow kind of weeding out of just, I don't know, it was like dating somebody for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then dating somebody else. And then coming back and trying to date them again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like, can we just get back to watching this Netflix movie and drinking coffee and like not pretend that happened? Right. But it did happen, and it did change both of us. And that was the hard part of doing that. And we tried to tour afterwards. And
there fights? And were you guys fighting with each other? Or like arguments or like any animosity or jealousy? Or
we had some weird arguments come out, but it wasn't anything unusual that I wouldn't think any siblings would have.
Sure, yeah.
We weren't fighting all the time, but there were like a couple, I guess not fights, but heart-to-heart talks.
Yeah.
We're like, this is how we feel. You hurt my feelings by doing this, or you said this. And a lot of the times, especially for me, I say things that come off so not the way that I intend them to be.
Right.
Like so condescending, or so I know better than you. And I mean, not just with my sister, but with everyone. And it's just this thing that I have been really conscious of the way I phrase my words.
Right.
Because sometimes I'll say something to someone, I'll hear it back from someone else, and she said you said this, and I said, oh wait, what? But then I can see how it comes. So it was a really big learning thing for me, to realize how I am, and to make changes.
And you're saying in the article, on the Medium article, it says like The Voice, you have this history of touring with your sister, and then they turned you into this children's book author.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, well, why didn't Dia tell me about this? Like, did you write children's book?
The funny thing is, I mean, with The Voice, they kind of help you find your story.
Yeah.
And I think with that one, they went with the wrong story. But I mean,
because you're very, but you're sweet. Sorry to cut you off. You're so
Oh, no.
sweet. Like you're just a sweet person. So it's like, yeah, children's book author.
I think that's what they saw. They just saw, this girl. I mean, I sang bubbly for the opening song, so
Right.
I just came off as this kind of sweet, bubbly person.
Right.
And as I was doing all the interviews talking about my life, I spoke for a short amount of time about writing children's books. And people thought I was published, and where can I get your book in Barnes & Noble? And I just said, oh, wait, I just have them on my computer. I've shown them to my sisters, really. It hasn't been this big thing in my life, but it kind of came off that way. And that was another weird part with my band as well, because, lots of people thought I didn't speak about Megan Dia. I was trying to hide that I was in Megan Dia, and I spoke about Megan Dia a lot in interviews, but it was just cut out.
Yeah.
So it was nothing bad on The Voice. I actually had a wonderful time on the show, and everyone was really nice, but they're just doing their job of kind of fitting people into their stories and how they want to be presented, and I ended up being the children's book author. I should have just ran with it. I should have just published books really fast.
Yeah, you should have just pumped
and
it out.
pushed them out.
Well, she didn't win, but let's go buy her book for the kids.
Exactly.
So check this out, all right? When I first moved here a little over 6 years ago, I needed money. I didn't have no money, and they were hiring people to be audience members on The Voice.
Really?
Swear. So I got paid $40, and I watched like several of the blind auditions.
Really?
Yeah, and I was there for season 1. So
wow.
I just think it's crazy that like
it's a small world.
Yeah, you're going on this journey, and like you intersect with people that like that you're gonna work with at some point, and I know you as Dia Frampton, the actress, which you're amazing.
Thanks.
And you just did Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
What's that like?
I was really scared to be on Criminal Minds. I can say that now that it's out, because you never want to say that before you shoot.
Right.
But it was hard. I mean, for me and you, we went to scene study class together for a long time, and so you get to kind of sit in the scenes, and they're long scenes, not long, but longer than Criminal Minds for sure.
8 pages.
Yeah, and you can kind of work it out, and then you have your really nurturing teacher there who's like, okay, let's try it this way, or if you're not getting to that place you want to get to, they can kind of help you sit in it. And then you also have a great partner that you know really well. And when we work together, I'm like, I know Adam, I trust Adam.
Right.
But on Criminal Minds, it was just showing up, not knowing anyone, not knowing, and it was all about working out blocking and lighting and eyeline and everything, and just being very particular about those things while also trying to just say these lines. And it's also, I knew this, but I'd never done it before.
Right.
So it was just cutting in and let's just get this one line. And so you have to really be in that moment and then remember what you did before and where you're going to, and just say the one line. And it's so nice to be able to just sit in a scene with somebody in class for 5 minutes.
Right. It's because you could actually settle in to the scene, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like, I haven't done a show like Criminal Minds, but it's awesome.
Very quick.
It was fast.
Mm-hmm.
It went by super quick.
Because they're just such a well-oiled machine. Everybody that is there has been working there for a long time, I presume, because they were all just, okay, this shot. And it was just so fast. And it was fun, though. It was fun.
Are you, do you like singing better? Do you see yourself acting? Like, is there one that you are focusing on more than the other?
I think right now, I love them both, but there is definitely a lot more mystery and unknown to acting, just because I've been singing for so long. But at the same time, there is so much that I need to learn with music, so it's not like I feel, I've learned everything I need to know about music, moving on, because I think still, at doing it for years and years and years, there's still so much to learn with music and with voice, and I started up with a Broadway teacher recently because I wanted to learn that kind of style of singing, and it's so different and so hard. if you walked by my apartment and you heard me sing, you'd think I never sang before. It's just like, it's terrible. So I'm embarking on this whole new adventure with voice and just learning to sing well and with technique and breathing that has nothing to do with how is the album doing today. It's all about learning how to sing, and that's been really fun. But acting is so fun because it's so scary to me.
Yeah.
And it's so terrifying. And just being on Criminal Minds the whole day, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. And that kind of excitement was really magical. And I just don't know what I'm doing when I'm acting. And so that figuring it out is really terrifying and fun.
Last night at the Grammy Museum, the Clive Davis room, by the way.
I just had to throw that out.
Yeah. But you were talking about like getting a bone and like how you got the voice was your bone. Do you feel like you're looking for a bone as an actress too? And like how are you being crafty and trying to get that? I
don't know. But it is that way, and sometimes in life you feel like somebody does throw you a bone, and then sometimes you feel like, what's going on? I've been working at this for so long. But then at other times, I was speaking to this amazing actor, and he was kind enough to just kind of let me pick his brain. Not name dropping, but I was speaking with Tobin Bell he was in Saw, he was in Mississippi Burning.
Yeah, Tobin Bell.
He was in the Manson, I can't remember what that one was. He was in, I mean, he's been in a bajillion films.
Right.
The Flash. And he was so kind to just kind of let me ask him all these questions about acting, and he's such an amazing person. And he said that Mississippi Burning was his first speaking role.
Okay.
And before then, he had been in 35 movies with non-speaking parts.
Basically, like just a featured extra?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And, and he was there because he wanted to learn and he wanted to watch. And he got to watch Paul Newman as a non-speaking actor in the background. And that really put it into perspective for me because I've been trying to act for 5 years now. And that's really nothing. I mean, it feels hard as I'm getting older and I'm in the territory where I'm not young enough to play college, but I'm not old enough to be a wife. So I'm in kind of that weird in between area with age. So it's difficult. But I mean, Tobin really pushed for so long, and then he got his first role in Mississippi Burning, this beautiful movie, and then he's still working really hard today. And that says something with people who just persevere. Right.
I agree. It's one of like just anything in the entertainment industry is you have to persevere. I think those are the true craftsmen, the guys that have been doing it, the people that have been doing it the longest. They've just been doing it for a really long time. Is there anybody that you admire as an actor?
Well, there's so many people. I know that there's all of the amazing actors like Marlon Brando, of course, and Elizabeth Taylor, but I've been also very much admiring the people of today.
Right.
And no, I'm not comparing them to Marlon Brando, of course, but there's people that have really just taken the bull by the horns, so to speak. Speaking of My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, the creator of that show, Rachel Bloom, created this show for herself. She's got such a vibrant personality, and I was listening to her do an interview, and she really put herself out there and pushed and made her own content. And those people, the Duplass brothers, I really love and respect because they're the same way. They don't wait for the audition. They don't wait for somebody to say, okay, we're going to tell your story now. They just make things, and they don't give you an excuse. You can go on YouTube and watch a short that the Duplass brothers have done that doesn't look like a big, there's lighting and a nice camera. It looks like they filmed it on their phone. But there is something interesting and special about the things that they make. Right. And I just watched Blue Jay, and it's a beautiful film. Have you seen Blue Jay?
I haven't seen it, no.
You need to watch it tonight.
Okay.
It's really beautiful, and it's one of those movies that, has basically one location in a house and basically two actors in the whole movie, except I think there's a convenience store guy that's cute. But it's just, those people are the people that I really love because that's where I am in my life now is the whole last year was doing auditions and mostly freezing in most of them and ruining them, right? Like you said, getting in my own way in the audition room. And there's people like the Two Gloss Brothers, Rachel Bloom, they're making their own content, which is really special.
I'm a big believer in, like, I didn't move out here to wait for the phone to ring, so to speak. Like, I have friends that are talented, you know, like, that, you know, our taste hasn't necessarily caught up to our technical abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But if we keep, you know, pounding the pavement, that'll happen. You know, that's going to happen. Are you doing anything right now to, like, feed that part of your artist?
I just started writing a screenplay, and it's scary because I'm not a writer, and a little bit of me didn't want to do that because I always compared it to music, and I always thought about it.
That's what I was going to say. You are a writer, though, because you write your own music, and, like, watching you last night, you're a storyteller. Like, you have the ability to connect with it. It feels like you connected with everybody in the room. Like, you take your time on stage as you're performing. I don't know if you're making a conscious effort to do that, but it felt like at one point you made eye contact with me. I'm like, oh, she made eye contact with me. You know, but, like, sorry to cut you off, but yeah, you are a storyteller.
That was actually, speaking of people that I admire again, but that's what Greta Gerwig said, who also was another person who creates and writes her own content, like Frances Ha. She's in 20th Century Women now.
Okay.
But she said, you know, lots of people worry so much about format and you know, how
Structure.
to go in a script. Yeah, structure. And she said, we have that installed in us because, you know, if I come to you and say, Adam, oh my gosh, the craziest thing happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I start at the beginning, I kind of build up to the climax, and then I got in a car accident, and then I went home. And,
Right.
you know, so we kind of just do it naturally. And I think that's the thing is we shouldn't try to overthink, I guess. But I am scared about that because in music there is a format that I know by heart. I don't even think about it. You know, The chorus comes in before 30 seconds. The bridge is here. If this is not working out, the chorus can be twice as long. You can bring the pre back in this situation. And now that I know those rules so well, it's fun to bend them and not listen to them. But I feel like you need to know it. And so many of my friends who write scripts just know that already.
Right. The inciting incident comes on page 10, or should it come before page 10?
Have you read Save the Cat?
I haven't read Save the Cat, no.
It is an amazing book. It really helps you with format and structure and how to tell the best story. And I really love that book a lot.
I'm going to have to do that. So Save the Cat and Blue Jay.
It's on your to-do list.
And Bruises. You should buy that today.
Yeah, and that. Music, book, and movie.
Yeah.
That's a full night right there.
That's like the best. That's all you need. I think you need all those things to not be depressed as an artist, you know, and get inspired. Are there certain things you have to do, or is there something you have to do every day so you are feeding your artist, or you're not getting depressed, or you're in creation?
One thing that I do right now consistently is I sing for an hour no matter what.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. And right now with the Broadway, it's sounding really bad.
Yeah.
But that's one thing, and Denzel Washington said it best, but it's all about consistency.
Sure.
Because sometimes, you know, we'll get a busy day and we'll just not do anything for a few days and then come back to singing, come back to acting, and it's that weird thing. But I really wanted to do that. And then I wanted to start looking into theater and plays, and that's actually something that really terrifies me. Like watching you in Seascape with Seascape with Sharks and Dancer. Yeah. That is really scary to me, to watch people on stage live with a bajillion lines.
Yeah.
And it was just you and one other person.
And London Thor, yeah.
So,
just 65 pages of dialogue.
Yeah. So 2 people on stage.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, that's terrifying to me.
Right.
Terrifying.
I would do it all over again.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you start to sink into it after the first show?
Yeah, but it was. I don't think it was the first show. The first show was magical. I think it was like around the 3rd show that I was like, I think I know who this guy is. And then like by the last show, you're like, oh, I know who this guy is, but it's the last show. Oh. You know, the biggest thing I think, you know, I took away from that was just the stamina.
Yeah.
Know? But we should totally do a play together.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. I mean, it's honestly, I look up so much to theater actors because it truly is. I think the thing that scares me the most is stand-up.
Right.
I tried to do that once because it was after this thing where they said, someone who's never done stand-up will have this little thing at the comedy festival. So I did that, and I was terrified. I'll never do that again. But theater is right under that, just watching people on stage.
I'm gonna right there with you. Stand-up comedy is the most. I have such a respect for those guys because if you have a voice and you're doing that really well, you have to make people laugh. Like,
I know.
People are showing up to shows and you're like, okay, I hope this person can make me laugh, and you have to. It's so crazy.
There's so many expectations already.
Yeah, all right, if you're not funny, I'm gonna be pissed, or this is gonna be really bad. I'm not coming back. I don't know. It's just it's too much.
And there's that instant feeling of just having a silent audience. Because if you're doing a play, or even me performing, if somebody doesn't laugh, it's whatever.
Right.
But it can just be silent the whole time. We can kind of just keep doing our thing. But stand up, it's
yeah. Because if you're not getting a reaction out of anybody, then you're just tanking, dude. That's brutal. What does it mean to embrace the struggle?
Embrace the struggle. I've actually had a really good time learning. And Steve Martin said this in an interview, I think, but he said so many people come up to me and they say, how do I get an agent? How do I get into the room? How do I get a headshot done? And he said that he's so surprised that nobody says, how do I get good?
Right.
Which is something that I haven't asked myself, because when I first started acting, it was the same thing, like, oh, this headshot isn't right, or what studio should I join, or how can I book this audition? And it wasn't focused on actually acting, as crazy as that sounds.
Right.
That wasn't the focus. It was about all these other weird things, and of course I wanted to do a good job, but I feel like it has shifted to how do I become the best singer? And when I say the best, not better than Adele, that's impossible, but how do I become the best version of myself?
Right.
And how do I become the best actor that I can be? How does that happen? And that's been actually a fun shift, because, there's definitely nights where I'm like, I suck, this is terrible, but for the most part, it's fun to kind of learn and grow in that way, and just really be focused in class and be focused on writing, and that's been fun.
If you're focusing on your craft, you're gonna attract work.
I think so.
Has it worked like that way for you? Has opportunities presented themselves because you have made? I know you show up you're consistently showing up.
Yeah.
And you're saying, I might not be the best that day, but I'm
here.
I'm here, right? And I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Do you think you've gotten opportunities because you're committed to it that way?
I think, they've been small opportunities. Steven Spielberg hasn't knocked down my door, but
Sure.
They've been these little short films or little web series and things like that have come that I've really loved and loved to be a part of. And I just love being on set with anyone, even if it's just we're shooting a 2-minute little thing about love or about loss. And that's been really fun. And I think it has been slowly opening up, I hope, but it's like you said, it's not like I'm going to wait for the phone to ring still, but it has, I guess, opened up the connections in LA, because I feel like there's a lot of great creative people who are making things.
Right.
It is hard though sometimes, because I feel like it's a little high schooly in the fact that there are these groups of people that just make their own kinds of short films and things together, and they have a well-oiled machine. They've been friends since college, and they're making all these things.
And it's hard to get into that crew and
Yeah, exactly. It is hard.
Bruises. Do you think you would have made bruises if everything was going
going well?
Yeah. Do you think so?
No, I don't. Which is such a weird thought. But Bruises is mostly about peaks and valleys and about all of my failures. And I don't say failures even as a bad thing, just when things really didn't work out the way I thought they would. But I feel like every time that happens, I'm pushed into doing something. And honestly, the reason I started writing this screenplay that I'm working on now is because I had the worst audition ever about 2 weeks ago. The screenplay is very new. I've written maybe 3 scenes from it.
Why was it the worst audition? I'm just curious.
It was the worst audition mostly because I loved it and I felt connected to it. Sometimes I'll go in and have clunky auditions because, I was trying to be like a sex kid and I'm just really not that person. So I really have to push hard and act a lot more than I'd have to if I played someone more close to me. But this person felt really close to me, and what they were speaking about was really connected with me. And I felt really good about it. And I went in and coached, and I prepared, and I was off book, and I was ready to go. And I think because I felt so great about it was why I fell so hard when it didn't work, because I went in the room, I was waiting in the waiting room with all these girls and then I'm instantly like, oh, that girl's really pretty. Like, oh, that girl's really skinny. Like, my legs, like 2 of her legs. Just like all these weird things that go. I'm such a crazy neurotic.
Yeah.
And then instead of focusing on what the character's doing, I'm looking at this girl, and she's probably like, why is she staring at me?
Right.
And then I went into the room, and I forgot all the lines, just forgot everything, and had to start again. And then she said, why don't you try it this way? And I was like, okay, I got it. And then I just totally didn't take the note at all. She said, do it a little bit firmer, stronger, you have more conviction. And I often, in times of nervousness, think about the result instead of how this person feels this way. So instead of saying, okay, why would my character be more convicted or more strong in this because maybe this happened here or at this part, I'm really trying to get it across to the other character that I feel this way.
Right.
And instead of thinking about it that way, my brain goes to the result, like more convicted, or more conviction, more anger, more strength. And then you just start to play strength, which is really strange.
Right.
You can't play strength without,
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And then you miss... because you're so wrapped up in your head, you forget to be present and play your, what we know as your goal.
Yeah.
Right?
It's. I mean, how are you?
Or your
in the
action.
audition room? Do you
I
feel okay? Are you?
I mean, it's just, I'm the same. I'm in the same way. I mean, like, I think now I'm at a point where I just kind of like, I'm not necessarily throwing it away, but I'm just kind of going in there and going, this is who I am. These are the choices that I made. And I'm more committed to today. I'm just gonna play a part. I think I haven't had the big opportunities yet either. Like I've worked with bigger people, but I mean, I just go in there and I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna do this. Like this today. I'm just gonna have fun and play this part.
Yeah.
Like
it's hard to just have fun.
Just kind of rely on the fact that you know who you are and like how you look and all these other things, and just kind of like this is who I am.
I mean, I feel like, watching you in class, I feel like you always bring 100% commitment to class, which sometimes I feel like people bring a little bit because it's class and they're figuring it out, but I feel like you always came like you were actually going to go on set in class.
Oh, yeah.
Which is such a great thing,
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm competitive. I grew up playing sports.
Oh.
So there's this winning and losing aspect to scenes.
That is so important, though, I think.
Like how are you gonna win a scene? Like, and so that was instilled in me at the studio.
I can see that now. And thinking about your work.
They were you like games, so why don't you just make it a game?
Yeah.
And like, you're right. I want to win this fucking game.
Yeah.
That's
such a good way to look at it.
And so that works for me because, like I said, I grew up on the street. Not really on the street, but like I was a street kid playing ball. And like I grew up competitive.
Yeah, I can see that now with how you work. That makes sense.
But like in your work, and even in your music, like I was listening to Gold and Silver a bunch last night, and because you have this relationship with your sister, you're so relatable to me. Like I have a relation with my older brother, and I feel like it's so similar. But if you're like we were talking about, you're morbid, and even as an actress, you're so sweet. Like the duality of who you are. Dia Frampton, super sweet. Like you're a lovely person. You're gorgeous. Like but you see the work and it's like, that's really dark. Like there's a darkness in your stuff. I don't know if I'm saying it the right way, but it's just so interesting to me. Like when I saw you work as an actor, it's like it's really dark. And I'm like, that is. It's weird, you know.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the part of me that I kind of subdue in my life.
Yeah.
That's sleeping, and you know what's strange though is I feel like when I've been in tumultuous relationships, that dark side of me like really grips in.
Right.
Which is not where I like to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I feel like I can just be around people that kind of boost my creativity, my positivity, that part of me can go away. But when I'm alone for long periods of time, or like when I'm on tour alone, I start to get really brooding and compulsive, and I'll make a lot of decisions just on this isn't working, like this is terrible, and just quit something or stop something, or I've broken up with people on a whim because all of a sudden I feel so sad and like this is bad, and it's just so quick, and then I'll regret it, and you know they usually just like get away, you're crazy. But that darkness does peek in. Yeah.
But you don't see yourself like that. Like you don't recognize it, do you?
I don't recognize it.
I mean, it's because of just all the stuff that I've seen you, or the most memorable things I've seen you do. I mean, like I've seen you. Was it Peaky Blinders where you're up there singing and you're crying?
Yeah. I mean, you're not the first person to say it, so it's definitely
like,
there. What? What's going on in there?
It's like, oh my god, I can't take my eyes off of it. It's awesome. I just think that I think you're already a proven musician, but I think the world is yet to see you, the real you as an actress, which is I think it's the most exciting thing.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's so fun to just tell stories. Yeah. But I feel like I'm very critical. They're finishing up a short film that I worked on, and my instant thought wasn't, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it. It was, I don't want to see it, because I just critique everything I do. Like, why did I turn that way? Why did I move? My character has no reason to move my hands right now. Or like, you know, do you do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, what? That's not even just why did I stand up there? There's no reason to stand up there. Like, why?
It's weird. Yeah. Why is my voice so high? Why didn't I deepen it? It's like all these things that I think about, and I guess it's learning.
It is. I think you just, and I don't know, I'm still growing as an actor myself, but I think you just get more and more planted and more. You're just like, okay, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I also like to keep it fresh, whereas some of the things you do to keep your acting fresh, and you're not, you develop tricks and you develop things that, you're good at and are effective with your audience. Like, how do you change it up?
I've tried to just give myself permission to be as emotional as I am in real life in acting. And that was something that my teacher said to me recently, our teacher, but she said, how can you act this way in this scene when you don't act like that ever in real life, when you don't show anger, when you don't show emotion, and there's always that stereotypical guy that doesn't cry or whatever. It's like, just stop. Just let it out. Just be yourself. But maybe it comes from him being raised by a dad who's like, boys shouldn't cry, and then it just is that kind of wall that was built for years, and you just don't know about it. But for me, it's just, I'm pretty emotional. I cry all the time. Yeah. And whether it's watching a movie or listening to a song, or somebody cuts me off and it makes me really upset, and when they cut you off in LA, it's not just like, it's like, you should die. Like, they literally, my friend called me crying the other day. Oh my gosh, my friend had a doctor roll down the window and be like, I'm a freaking doctor, you should kill people, and she's just like, road rage in LA, we all know, but I digress. But
it's a serious thing.
It really is a serious thing, but it's just about letting out those things, even how you react with road rage, and you don't let it shown in a scene because you're too timid or don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, or whatever it may be. But for me, keeping it fresh has just been, okay, just stop trying to cover things up, and that's hard.
What advice would you give to somebody starting out as a musician, as a writer, as an actor, just creative, what?
It's so funny because I don't feel that much older than some people that I speak to, especially students.
Yeah.
But I went and spoke at USC the other day, and I was speaking to people who are kind of inspiring to be either artists or in music management.
Right.
And there's such a gap there in the 10 years that I've been alive longer. Because when my sister and I were starting out, there wasn't YouTube. You don't just put a cover on YouTube.
Right.
You don't tweet at people. We booked all of our tours through MySpace.
Yeah.
Or just cold calling. And
Yeah.
and when I say tours, I mean, playing for like 5 people in a house. So I'm trying to make it more fancy. But it was really just this, we made a demo in our garage. Like, it's so old school, but and we made all our contacts through meeting people like this.
Right.
We met our manager by going and opening up for somebody at a show and meeting their merch guy who was tour managing them and selling t-shirts for the band. And then he connected us with our manager. And it was all this really raw way of connecting with people. And now so many people, it's so different with Viners and YouTubers. And I feel like there is that a little bit of a I want it and I want it now kind of way.
Yeah.
Or I want it and I want it fast.
Yeah.
Which I think it will get out of their system just by, I just kind of put my hands up like, okay,
Yeah.
you go for it. But as far as advice goes, it's really about doing the work, I think. And definitely connecting with people and putting yourself out there and exposing yourself. But get really good at what you're doing and then seek people out. And I feel like so many people are eager to put out work, but I would rather have somebody wait and send in 20 seconds of a really good reel or really great footage. And not great as in the camera is great and the lighting's great, but just great acting.
Right.
Rather than putting together this 2-minute weird short that doesn't really show off anything. Or with music, sometimes people will send, I spoke to my manager about this, but they'll send him like 20 songs to show how diverse they are.
Right.
When he listens to the first 30 seconds of one song.
And then that's
just how it is. That's all he has time for. So if you're sending in a song, send in the best damn song you've ever written and just send in that one song and, personalize it. And I feel like that goes a long way, just doing the work.
Do you put an emphasis on social media?
I think social media is important. I'm not saying to ignore it, but don't rely on it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some people that just build up this crazy following because they vlog about, I don't know what they vlog about anymore.
Yeah.
I actually watched a vlog about somebody describing their Frappuccino, and they had over 1 million hits, and I was just kind of mind-boggled because she was in an acting class I was in. And she said she's like a Viner, and she has tons of followers, but I didn't see that connection.
Right.
Thank God she was in an acting class though to learn about.
Sure. Yeah.
her
So obviously,
craft.
yeah.
So she does care, but there is that weird thing going on, and I think you have to pay attention to social media, but it shouldn't be the end all be all. And we've been casting some young men for the new music video for Crave and for Dead Man, and never once have I looked at anybody's social media. But if they're really great and they have a good social media
then
following,
you're interested in
that
finding
does
out
help.
more.
For me, at the end of the day, I want the most people to see my music video.
Right.
So if Bob and Sam are both excellent, and
Yeah.
one has 100,000 followers and one has 5,
Yeah.
and they're both amazing, I'm gonna go. That is the weird. I have to admit the
That
weird
you'll go with
social
somebody
media
that
thing.
can help you.
Yeah, but it also is because I'm very small. I think if I was Stephen King and there's 2 great people and he doesn't care, he's Stephen King.
Yeah.
The movie's gonna be wonderful and it's high budget. But I think for people who are trying to still get things out,
Yeah.
it matters more.
Right.
But I think it's mostly just about doing work. Being in plays.
Yeah.
I saw you in a play. It was beautiful, and just in being in class and creating things. And you're writing now, right?
No, I'm producing.
Oh,
But
producing.
Yeah.
That must be really hard.
The writing thing requires it's just a lot of discipline. Another
Producing is really difficult though, because I don't even know what producers do. They do everything.
Yeah, I don't know what producers do either.
You're like, I'm figuring it out as I go.
I'm just like, fuck it, man. Like, you want to do this? We'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
I'll figure out a way. Like, did it once, we could do it again. Why not, right?
Yeah.
So just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Just like, I don't know, and you'll figure it out. I mean, young. I got the rest of my life to figure things out. But I mean, like I have to we have to do the work.
Yeah.
Well, Dia, Bruises is out today.
Yep, it's
Congratulations!
out today.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Like,
It feels very strange to have it finally out in the world, but it's pretty good.
It's a beautiful album. You guys absolutely should download it today. Thank you for coming to
Oh,
my
thank you.
office.
Thank you for the beautiful flowers.
You're welcome. You know, this is really exciting. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, again, like this, you're an amazing actress. You're an amazing musician. Like, you're just an amazing human being.
Oh, I'm just gonna take you around the other just listen to your voice in my ear.
I really believe that, though. You're like an amazing human being, and I just want to say thank you so much for visiting us today and
Thank you.
like
Thanks
again
for having me.
stopping by the office.